$50 currently, when it comes to Polkadot's native token called DOT, is around a 16x from here. Now, even though nothing I say is financial advice, what do I think about that? I just still have that mindset in my mind because I like Polkadot fundamentally speaking. And even before we get into that, because that seems like still kind of a ways away at this point, even if let's say DOT just went back to the market cap that it did back in December of 2024, at that point, market cap was around 16 billion. So that's literally over 3 times what we have right now. And we saw that less than 1 year ago. It wasn't like the last time we saw it was many, many years ago. No, it was just less than a year ago. Granted, we're nearing November as of right now, but still, that was back in December of 2024. And I don't think that was with an altcoin season. Keep in mind, when it comes to DOT, Polkadot's native token, supposedly there's over 1 million holders currently. Even if we just assume 1 million holders, that's still pretty massive. Now, some people may kind of counter that statement and say, okay, there's supposedly over 600 million crypto owners currently, which is allegedly more than ever before in history. And even if we just assume a million, that's not even 1%. Very far, actually, from 1% of over 600 million. Totally aware of that, but that's still very impressive. And DOT being able to hold up at a market cap of slightly under 5 billion as of right now is not bad. Now, it's not doing good relatively speaking. Like in the grand scheme of things, a market cap of nearly 5 billion is fantastic, right? But for what DOT is, for what it's been able to achieve, actually around a $5 billion market cap, or should I say slightly less than that, is actually underperforming, in my opinion. But that could be said for many altcoins out there. So when it comes to this, I'm not necessarily concerned, but again, just the thought of maybe going to what it did back in December over to 3x from here, I'm just very fascinated by that, even though only time will tell. Now, when I take a look at the idea of $50, it is around a 16x from here, and market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 81.5 billion. Not too ridiculous considering the heights that DOT reached back in 2021. I mean, the market cap was literally and 1 point over 50 billion at that point. But I'm just saying, this doesn't seem a far ways away, especially when I consider the increased amount of crypto owners that we have right now, and also just kind of the sentiment when it comes to Polkadot. I think arguably, which could be better if there was an altcoin season during this cycle, because I think now more than ever before, a lot of people actually kind of understand the importance of something called interoperability, because lacking interoperability is just not such a good thing, maybe, in my opinion, because Polkadot is focused on connecting blockchains together. It's focused on something called interoperability, which again, basically, it's focused on connecting blockchains together. But sometimes people like to say, who cares about that? Well, it's because I think lacking that, right, lacking interoperability is quite a big issue. There's many networks out there, many blockchains out there, but because a lot of them are independent of one another, a lot of them that I do see, they can't freely send data and value to each other, meaning that if, let's say, that is the situation, or should I say the case, then they do lack interoperability, which I don't think is conducive to, let's say, the future growth of this space, because imagine if there's just many of these independent things out there and they can't really, or should I say, freely send data and value to each other. It just creates this space where it's just very competitive for no reason. It's not really promoting this space in, I think, such a good way. So I think what Polkadot is doing is pretty interesting. I think it's cool. I think it's actually fundamentally amazing. And it may not be the most interesting out there, but if we think about projects that are focused on interoperability, Polkadot is basically number one, in my opinion, in terms of popularity. We have to take a look at, when it comes to DOT having over 1 million holders, that's no joke. That is very impressive. And maybe when it comes to DOT, who knows, at around $3 right now, the price could maybe go lower if altcoins are not necessarily doing the best. But just having that many holders, I think, shows the kind of conviction overall when it comes to Polkadot. And I think it also showcases just a testament to its fundamentals, because I don't think people necessarily want to hold a project that they don't really see a future in. This is the way to take a look at it. And if I take a look at Polkadot, the cherry on top for me is something called Kusama. Kusama is basically a canary network to Polkadot, which some people may be thinking, what is a canary network? What is that, right? Now, basically in this case, projects that wish to launch in Polkadot, a lot of them that I do see, they typically start off with Kusama first. They test out the project under real economic conditions, and then if it's all good, so to speak, they later move on to Polkadot. Now, why would they do that though? It's because supposedly it's cheaper to rent building space when it comes to Kusama when compared to Polkadot. So in terms of a economic sense, it sometimes makes sense, I think, especially when it comes to a project that is just starting off. And, let's say funding may be a little bit limited. Also, on top of that, when I take a look at another advantage that I think Kusama has when it comes to a project starting off there is that it's easier to make changes on. So let's say someone's just getting introduced to, let's say, the whole Polkadot and Kusama vibe. Having that aspect when it comes to being able to make changes easier when it comes to Kusama when compared to Polkadot, I think it's a big bonus. I think it's a very big advantage. So then at the same time, a new developer, let's say someone just wants to make a project, instead of just going straight up to Polkadot, having that kind of segue and starting off with something like Kusama first and then later moving on to Polkadot, I think that's a good sort of progression of the project. It's kind of like being able to test drive a car before buying it or before leasing it. It's just kind of getting that introduction to it without having that upfront major commitment and just straight up buying it without even trying it out. Or let's say not having a free trial at a gym, just looking at it online and just saying, oh yeah, I'm going to have a 1 year gym membership. It's like sometimes we got to try it out first, right? Before we kind of know what it is. So that's kind of like what Kusama is when it comes to Polkadot. Now, when it comes to when exactly is there going to be an altcoin season, I mean, that is literally beyond my capabilities. Like, I don't have a magic crystal ball to know when this is going to happen or what is going to happen when it comes to the altcoin season, what precise moment. No, I do not have those capabilities. Now, sometimes you like to say, okay, why don't you pull up a price chart, draw a random triangle, or draw a falling wedge pattern? That way you're going to try to find the perfect moment. I highly doubt that. The market, first of all, is literally not going to care whatever I do on that price chart. So I draw a falling wedge pattern, the market literally does not care about that. Also, on top of that as well, what does that do? If I only take a look at the price chart of Polkadot, or should I say its native token called DOT, how would that paint the full picture? It would literally not do that. Because if I only take a look at the price chart of DOT, I would literally rather prefer Shiba Inu. I mean, let's face it, right? Shiba Inu has a better price chart than something like DOT. But then if I actually take a look at the fundamentals of Polkadot, then at that point, I'll take a look at its focus on interoperability and stuff like this, which when it comes to Shiba Inu, I mean, okay, there is Shibarium, which is basically a layer 2, but how is that as revolutionary as Polkadot? You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I also hold meme coins in my portfolio, but if I only take a look at everything just purely off the price chart, it's not really going to paint the full picture, which is why I still believe in Polkadot, and that is why I actually prefer DOT over Shiba Inu. This is my point of view because I actually take a look at the fundamentals, whereas if I take a look at the price chart, it wouldn't really tell me what Polkadot is all about. I wouldn't really know what Kusama is even, right? So that's why I'm still staying patient. I'm still holding, and yeah, I just don't want to give up. Only time will tell, but it wouldn't necessarily surprise me if there was, let's say, an altcoin season. Whenever that may happen, if it ever even does, only time will tell. The only thing I can do is stay patient, hold, and just wait, and that's pretty much about it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. I hope you all have a nice day, and I want to say thank you for watching. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.